Hello, welcome, Sketching Up. It's another full podcast, but we don't have a full cast of people. It's just the OG right now. It's just Connor and I. You're back to the beginning. Connor, how you doing today?
Living the dream, Chris. Living the dream. You can't see it right now, but it's a visual gag because I've got a coffee cup that says "Living the Dream" on it.
Oh, ha. There you go. I laughed
funny.
for you.
We're now a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah. Well, you could tell comedy right there. Comedy. But no Kyle today. Kyle is actually, so we've said this on previous ones, I'm pretty sure, and if not, this is news to everybody. But he is a producer, like a music producer.
Indeed.
Down in Georgia, and he's actually out in the studio with somebody producing, so that's why he can't join us today. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody. I know that we're all stuck at home, but at least now you don't have to work on Monday, so that's nice. So we're gonna get into it real quick, and first of all, this Wednesday is the release of HBO Max.
Finally here.
Finally here. We've been talking about. I mean, I've been talking about it forever because I think HBO Max is going to be one of the top, if not the top, streaming service when it's all said and done. Like, I don't think people understand how big this service is actually going to be. It's going to be huge.
I agree with you. It's like there's a lot going on with how many deals they made and all the shows that they're able to bring onto it. They're going to take over a lot of business from these other streaming sites.
Like, it's gonna go head to head with Disney. Like, people don't get it. Disney Plus, which Disney Plus now has Hulu and ESPN and stuff. It's gonna go neck to neck with them because of everything it's gonna offer. But on top of what you just said, all the streaming and all the deals they have. Listen to this. When we talked about it, what was it, 2 weeks ago, 3, whatever, doesn't matter. When we talked about it before, it was AT&T, DirecTV are the exclusive. They get it. Everyone else has to pay. That has changed. Now, first of all, if you have HBO Go or an HBO account, it's not guaranteed, but there's a good chance you get it for free once it comes out.
Okay, like I have HBO Now attached to my Amazon account.
So
do you think that'll transfer over to HBO Max?
So, some of the most notable people that are now part of this deal: Roku, Comcast, Amazon. So
okay.
Amazon,
it looks like
Amazon
looks
accounts.
like I'm getting that HBO Max.
Amazon accounts are now going to be part of it.
I love it. I'm excited.
The thing I've heard is, or not I've heard, that I read is Amazon, Roku, and Comcast. Oh, sorry. I just really hurt you there. That's the people that haven't gotten on yet.
But
no, there was one that you'll be okay with. The ones that have jumped on: Xbox, PlayStation, Samsung. Which I believe you have an Xbox and a PlayStation. Correct?
My PlayStation broke 2 years ago, so just the Xbox.
Just the Xbox.
And I never repaired it.
So, Xbox
so it's
One.
automatically on them now?
No, you'll have to download the app.
But it'll be free?
If you have HBO Go. Hold on, let me see real quick once more. Like my screen's been up this whole time. But now, and I'm going to show it into the camera, now it's loading. Now it's loading. Now it's a white loading screen. Now that I actually need it.
It comes up when you don't need it, Chris.
Yeah, that's why
it'll come up after the podcast done.
That's why this whole thing has been confused, because it's been loading this whole time. So when I read those ones, that's what I assumed. And yeah, it's my fault. I'll just take the blame.
Typical Chris.
So let me go to this page here, because I know a lot of people are talking about how the Justice League Snyder Cut is going to be coming out next year, which some people are happy about it. Brandon talked about how he said he didn't like him, and he does like him. So it's been the big talking point so far. So what I've heard, and I'm trying to get to a point where It says it, but it's still loading. From what I read earlier today, if you had an HBO Go account or an HBO account, you get it for free. It'll upgrade for free.
Okay.
Some might ask you to upgrade, but it doesn't. It didn't say which ones will do which.
I'll have to investigate myself with this Amazon one. And I can get back to the fans of the podcast once I do that.
Amazon is not one of the people that are involved.
No, but I can still investigate.
Yeah.
Still find out.
So, well, I don't think your Amazon account will. You'll probably have to still purchase it outside of that because Amazon's not.
I'll probably just have to cancel mine currently.
But
transfer. It's a tough situation, y'all.
If this would load, so I could see it. So Samsung will have the app. Microsoft will have the app, but that's the Xbox. Sony, which is PlayStation, will have the app. Google Androids, all Google things, and most Apple ones will have it. iPhone, iPad, Apple TV 4K, Apple TV HD will have it. But any old
so this sounds like it's just where it'll be available.
It'll be available, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm literally going down the page because it's, like I keep saying, it's like loading. So if you have HBO distributors, pay through HBO, so you'll be able to upgrade if you have AT&T DirecTV, AT&T Now, Charter and its Spectrum services, YouTube TV or Google, Apple, Hulu, Verizon Fios, Cox Communication.
Okay.
Those are the ones that you'll be able to get it with. So if you have any of those, you're set. If you don't have any of those, get it now before it goes up to $15.99. Because right now it's $11.99. So get it before it runs out. But all those are the ones. And there's going to be they said there's over 30,000 hours of content on the release date coming out.
That's too many hours.
That's a lot of hours.
That's a lot of hours.
It's a lot of hours. That's so many that you'll never be able to watch it all.
No. Like literally can't watch it all.
But that is included with AT&T, which is good for me because I have AT&T and I have DirecTV. So boom, double it up. So let's go over some of this. So we talked about the biggest show that's coming to it that I learned more about, and we talked about it a lot. So we'll just start there. The Boondocks. Now, I've been asking, what is the Boondocks going to look like for, ever? I don't think we've ever found that out until now. So, the Boondocks on HBO Max. Get ready, because it's here. I'm telling you what it's going to be.
I'm ready.
It's going to be 2 seasons followed by a 45 to 50-minute special.
Okay.
So they picked the Boondocks up for 2 reimagined seasons, meaning it's not going to be the original series.
Okay, yeah. See, I remember you had said ideas like that because of Uncle Ruckus. Like you were scared that they were just gonna, that you didn't know how they were gonna do that. But this seems like the best way to do it is just reimagining the series.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too many other ways you can do it. It's because how he literally can't be in it. Like you have to do a reimagining because he legit can't be in it. So 2 seasons, which I imagine are going to be 10 to 20 episodes, maybe 10 because it's HBO Max. But that was the one that was the biggest one for me. Was one thing that confused me. I know I'm going all over the place right now. One thing that confused me is it says that Looney Tunes will be on there, and they say it's an HBO Max original. But they don't say it's new episodes.
I was gonna say, are they doing new, or is it more just like when a network takes over a show, they just throw like Netflix original on top?
It looks like it's like the old ones, like the old ones.
Yeah, HBO. I don't know if you can
just
I don't know
put
if
your
you
name
can call
on
those
that.
HBO originals.
Yeah, it's odd. I'm like, I don't think Looney Tunes is. I know it's like. It's owned now by Turner, so and they don't put Turner original on the old ones, so
nope.
I don't know. Doesn't matter. Another show that's going to be on there that's getting a lot of hype is Elmo's hosting a talk show, the Not Too Late Show with Elmo. That's going to be one of their originals. They have a lot of originals coming out. I'm blocky here because I'm trying to find the list of originals, but now my technology is failing me. Let's see. But the ones I definitely didn't know about are those two right there. I do know that they said that South Park will be having new episodes streaming on HBO Max.
Okay, yeah, they've got here. I've got the list right here.
Perfect.
Chris, of originals. They're bringing back Gossip Girl.
I did see that, and that's premiering next year, I believe.
Yeah, 2021.
Yeah.
Still in pre-production. There's a couple of shows that seem like newer ones. It's called like Raised by Wolves, Flight Attendant, Tokyo Vice, Crime Farm.
It's exciting.
But they've got Green Lantern.
Yes, that's a DC original that's going to that.
They've got Justice League Dark.
Yeah, and I think they also have the DC Superhero Girls, which is actually on Cartoon Network. That's going to, right, something like that, or DC Superhero Girls or DC Superhero High. I think both actually are going to HBO Max for streaming.
Yep. That is correct right here. Yeah, there's some. All the comedies are kind of okay. They're getting a Mike Schur show.
Okay.
So I'm pretty pumped about that. It says it's gonna be a dark comedy. It's untitled as to this time. Miniseries. We've talked about it a bunch of times. Adventure Time, Distant Lands.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Aquaman, King of Atlantis.
Yep,
so
I
another
knew that
DC
one. Well, because DC's Warner, so everything exactly. DC is going to HBO Max. So if you're a DC fan, you're gonna want HBO Max. Like they're getting the Joker and Harley Quinn, or Birds of Prey. Sorry, that's what it's called. All those are going to HBO Max.
Yeah, they're gonna have a lot of reality and competition shows. It looks like.
That makes sense. Oh, I know one. I just thought of Close Enough. Is Close Enough on there? Does it have a release date? I believe it's supposed to be this summer. Close Enough is a show by the creator of Regular Show.
Oh yeah, it's right there under adult animation.
Yeah, it has the same animation style and everything. I think it's supposed to come out this summer, but I saw them start promoting it recently. Like they just came out with the first poster for it like 2 weeks ago. That one's supposed to be coming out. I think it's within the first wave. The first wave is summer 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's continuing shows. Like right underneath it says continuations, Infinity Train Season 3.
There you go. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Does it have a release date?
To be announced.
Okay. That would have been awesome.
That would have been pretty cool.
I don't know if you know this, because we watched Infinity Train, but I watched it when it first came out. The first season and the second season came out within a couple months. Not even like...
I'm sure that they just did, once they got picked up for this stuff, they were like, all right, let's put it over to HBO Max.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I love that. That show's great. I don't even know what they would do with... What would they do with Infinity Train now? Like, knowing the show. Like, they already did one with Tulip, and then they did the Mirror Tulip. So what would the third season be?
Maybe a whole new character.
I guess it would have to be, right? Unless she goes back and she's still having problems. her problems aren't solved yet. Back to the train.
Honestly, could be. Maybe it's like in the future and it's like Tulip's kid or something like that.
That's possible. The bad part about doing stuff like that, though, is then you can never go back. You don't want to backtrack. You know what I mean? Like, if it's like her kid now and they do a season of that, like now you have to stay in the future. You don't want to go back because then it just gets all over the place. It's kind of like what happened with Archer. Like, I love the show Archer. But it started to get all over the place because they were going in space. Then they were going to they were in Dreamland. Now they're here. Now they're here.
They decided to break it up and turn it into like
a bunch of miniseries
seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it kind of turned me off the show. I mean, I will say I haven't seen the last couple of ones, but I think the last one I saw is Dreamland, where he gets shot. I don't know if you've seen it, but Archer gets shot.
I fell off of Archer after
Yeah.
they started doing all the certain specials.
It's sad that, because Archer, like, those first couple seasons, oh boy, are those good.
Such
good television. Like, the third episode, I rewatched it like maybe a year ago, and the third episode, I don't remember exactly what it is, but you sit there, and Arrested Development has the same feel. You're watching that episode, and you're like, wait, this is the third episode? Because usually shows don't start that fast. Usually,
it goes right on into it.
Yeah, like the third or fourth episode of Arrested Development is the Marta complex.
Okay.
You remember those where Job is dating Marta, the Spanish actress?
Yep.
That's like the fourth episode of the show. It's like one of those.
It's been a while since I watched Arrested Development.
Yeah, but you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know
right?
exactly what you're talking about.
It's like one of the top episodes, like one of the first episodes. That's a show that fell off too. Once they went to Netflix, that was it.
Yeah, that was rough.
Oh, that was bad. That was really bad. And they're trying to recut it and stuff, but it's just like
they did. The recut was actually a lot better.
Was it? It's just I've already seen the first.
Then it felt
cut.
like It felt like Arrested Development because the ones where they decided, all right, each character has a single episode and then all comes together, just didn't work.
No, that was
not
bad.
what Arrested Development was. And then they recut it, and it had an Arrested Development feel. It still wasn't like the same as those first 3 seasons, but it was still fine.
Have you seen the new season?
Not at all.
Neither have I.
I didn't really have interest in it after that fourth. I even after rewatching it with the new cuts, I was still just like, well, I'm good.
A funny thing about Arrested Development, it's the same with Community, which I want to talk about today. Both those shows were directed by the Russo brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that funny? The same guys that did Avengers, did Community.
They also did one of my low-key favorite shows that got canceled too soon, Happy Endings.
Happy Endings. That sounds familiar.
It was like they were executive producers and they direct and wrote a bunch of the episodes. Great funny show. It's on Hulu if you want to check it out. It only had 3 seasons and it definitely got cut too short.
Well, I've said it for years, and I'm sure there are people on my side on this. I think Arrested Development was cut so short, and it's just because nobody really watched it when it was.
It became more famous with like streaming.
Yeah. The same thing happened with Community recently. Community is one of those shows that like you either have seen it or you haven't, and a lot more people I've noticed are on the I haven't seen it side.
Yeah.
But the people that have seen it like rave about it. Now that it's been put on Netflix, which is crazy because it's been on Hulu for years, but now that it's put on Netflix, like it's getting a revival. It's like everybody's now seeing it, and it's one of those shows. Like, first of all, that's the opposite of Arrested Development. That show went too long. Like they should have stopped before it all started to fall apart like it did. But it's weird how like something has to go to Netflix to be seen, and now they're having reunions, and Mikhail and Ken Jeong have the podcast, The Darkest Timeline, and now it's like starting to revive again.
Yeah,
but it's just that's one of those shows. Like I think it's season 5 where it really starts to fall off.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's the season 5.
Well, season 4 is when Dan Harmon left.
Is it season 4?
Season 4 is when Dan Harmon left, and they had a whole new showrunner, and just the show feels so different.
I know season 5 is when that's when they graduate, and he's a lawyer again, but he's unsuccessful. He becomes a teacher, all that stuff, and it's like
So that was them scrambling once Dan Harmon got brought back. But yeah, it was a rough season. Season 4 is just it's rough.
They make fun of it in the show, but it doesn't make sense still that they go for 4 years. It just doesn't make sense.
That's just not community college.
It's not community college, and they make fun of it in the show, and it's like you can make fun of it all you want, you're still wrong. Like that's not how it works. You go for 2 years. Now what they should have done which you could have went 4 seasons, is each semester was a season. That would have worked out perfectly. And you could have went, all right, so season 1, semester 1, season 2, semester 2, that's year 1. Then 1, 2, that's year 2. You have 4 seasons right there. But they went 1 season's a full year, and it just makes no sense. They went for 4 years. And from the beginning, they were saying they wanted 6 seasons in a movie. You only go to community college for 2 years. You only go to college for 4 years. Like, it just makes no sense. Are they all going to grad school together, too? Like,
I guess so.
At Greendale. They're going to go to grad school at Greendale because it's the only community college in the entire nation that has grad programs. It just doesn't make sense. And I rewatched it recently on Hulu. And I noticed they make fun of it sometimes where they're like, there are 4-year programs at community colleges. It's like, yes, but none of the stuff you guys are going for are a 4-year program at a community college. Literally none of them. Because you can have a 4-year program. A school I went to had that. It was a 2-year school with 4-year programs. It wasn't called a community college. It was just called a college. But it was basically like a community college. Like, you can have that. That's great. But it's usually they specialize in one thing. That's the 4-year program. There's not one for law and one for being a therapist and one for being a nurse and one for being a business owner. Like, that's not how it works. That's the one thing. I love the show. That is one thing I just can't stand about the show. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Chris, it sounds like it's really getting under your skin right now. Like, if you're going on a rant about it, it must really get to you.
Well, like, think of it. It's such a good show, and especially the first couple seasons are so clever. Like, how is that such a miss? Like, how did you not realize that coming into it? You said you wanted 6 seasons. Like, you should have made it in a way where it's 6 seasons. Like, what? This does happen. Why couldn't they say Greendale became a college? Like, it transitioned. That's happened. You can transition a community college to a 4-year school by adding programs. Like I said, the school I went to did that. Like, why didn't they do something like that instead of just making it they went to community college for 4 years? That does not make any of them look good.
No, not at all.
So, it really gets to me. It really gets to me because it's such a good show. And it's just such a big flaw on such a good show. But that's not even what I wanted to talk about it. That's just what I thought about when we were talking about Community. I love that show. I just rewatched it. And it's funny watching it and seeing all the people that were on it and how big they've become since the show.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons, whenever I talk about shows, I compare it to Arrested Development a lot. Because that's another show where almost everyone on that show started on that show, except for Jessica Walter didn't start on there, and Jeffrey Tambor didn't start on there. But like Jason Bateman, that was like one of his first roles, and Will Arnett and Michael Cera. Mm-hmm. Those are all.
They really all. One of those jumping off shows for a lot of people.
What's Ellen's wife's name? Portia
de Rossi.
Yeah, that was like one of the first things you saw her on. David Cross. Like, a lot of really, really, really talented comedy actors came off that show.
David Cross had actually been around a little bit because he did Mr. Show with Bob Odenkirk, which was their sketch show.
Yeah, he was a big comedian too before that. Like,
yeah,
his character's hilarious because he's nothing like Tobias. Nothing like Tobias. Like, not even close to like Tobias. But in the show, he's like this really femininely, like, not masculine, but acts masculine stuff. And that's not David Cross at all. If you see his stand-up, you would not think it's the same person. You really wouldn't. But all those guys came, and then if you look at Community, I mean, I think McHale's been around forever. Like, because he was on The Soup way before Community.
Yeah, no, he's been around in the Hollywood scene.
Yeah, but, I mean, Alison Brie, I don't remember seeing her really before Community.
No,
I knew
she wasn't big before Community.
So my sister turned me on to Community, and I watched it because of Gambino. Like, when I found out he was on it, I started watching it. And that's where I really got into it. But for the most part, people didn't know who Donald Glover was before Community. Like, that was kind of more of his... Like, people that listened to his music, I think, did. But his stand-up specials came out around the same time.
He was This is I'll be a little bit of a, like, oh, I found him early. His YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I was super into that in like early high school, all the way through high school.
That's when he was in college. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first discovery of him, and then I was like, oh, this guy's on a TV show now. I'll watch that.
Yeah, Derek Comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I found that. I didn't find out. I think I found that at the end of my high school, going into college.
Gotcha.
But I listened to him since right before the EP came out. Like when he had Cul-de-sac and all those other, when he was a mixtape artist, until he came out with, and then the first song I really listened to by him when I became a huge fan was Freaks and Geeks. Freaks and Geeks was his big moment in rap. And then
that's the first one I ever heard from him.
Freaks and Geeks
got so big. Yeah,
it was huge. Well, I heard his first single was Heartbeat. I remember that. I wanted you to know that I am ready to go. Heartbeat, my heartbeat. That song.
Yeah.
I heard that, and then he did a remix of the Adele song, Rolling in the Deep. He did like a remix of that, like a rap remix of that. And that was crazy. That's actually in the rap scene. Now I'm not as much of a rap expert as Kyle is, but I believe that's when he was really put on the scene of rap, is when he did the Rolling in the Deep remix. We can get that confirmed next week, but for now, that's fact.
Mm-hmm.
But that's around when I heard him. And then I saw him when I was down in Florida. He did a show, a free show with Hoodie Allen. If you want to know how long ago that was, it was Childish Gambino and Hoodie Allen.
That is an old show for sure.
Yes. I mean, first of all, you would never see Childish Gambino for free anymore.
No.
There's no chance. He is by far the biggest star off Community. Like, by far the biggest star off Community.
Well, yeah, he's a literal worldwide star now.
Yeah. Like, it's not even a question. But, like, back then, that had to be 2011, 2012 that I saw him. And Hoodie Allen, he just came out with No Interruption, whatever that album was. I don't know what the actual album was called. I think it's called All American. So I do know what the album was called. He just came out that album. Actually, when I first listened, that was like a college rapper, was Hoodie Allen. You listened to it, you heard him when you went to college parties. It was Hoodie Allen. But he was there. He opened up for Gambino, and Gambino was great, obviously. Yeah. So that's a long time. That's how I got put on the Community. For all those people out there that were really wondering, how did you get put on the Community? That's how. It was through Gambino, who's now an unbelievably huge star. But that's why I always compare. That whole thing started because I was saying I compare Community to Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Because the stars that came off that. We tried getting, who was it? What's the person that plays Britta's name? Can't remember her name.
Oh no. I can't remember the actress's name.
I have it in my head. I can't think of it. You know what I mean? Like, I know who it is. We tried to get her to come on an interview when I used to be on the radio. Obviously, it didn't happen. But if it happened, I'd remember her name.
Jillian Jacobs.
There you go. Yeah. Tried to get her to come on. For all these people watching, I just, like, completely itched my nose. I was not, wiping it, or I was itching my nose. Yeah. I have, like, an itch. Like, my mustache hair is in my nose, and it itches. I just want people to know I'm not picking my nose on camera. If I was to do it, I would turn off my camera because I respect the viewer. I respect the viewer.
Lies.
So, in the last 3 weeks, I've rewatched Community and Scrubs, and I think next I'm going to rewatch Chuck.
Oh, Chuck. Oh, I love Chuck, dude.
Such a good show.
That was one of those shows that me and my dad would always watch while I was in high school. Like, that was one of our nightly shows. It was like that, Lost. We'd pick a lot of those, like, 1 hour, like, drama or comedies and watch those together.
I believe Chuck is a half hour, though, isn't it?
No, they're 45-minute episodes, man.
Ugh, damn. That might change
It's a little
mind.
harder to binge. I tried binging it recently, and it still held up. But I was like, I don't like binging 45 minutes as much as I like binging like half-hour shows.
The shows I watch are 11 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say You're used to those short ones.
45
sure.
minutes is rough.
Yeah, but they're a good 45 minutes.
Yeah, it is. I remember I tried showing somebody Chuck once, or I was watching it, and I told somebody it's a really good show, and it was the scene where he's on the what the hell is it called? The lift, like the ski lift, and it's like so poorly green screened. It looks so bad.
Yeah. There's it definitely didn't have the most money for a lot of shows, but the cast was great and like the humor was very much there.
Yeah. Yvonne Savatsky. That's the I'm pretty sure that's her name.
Mm-hmm.
The blonde.
Also in Dexter.
Yeah, well, that's where I first saw. I actually didn't see Chuck until after I saw Dexter, which I believe is
Gotcha.
That's definitely flip-flop, because Chuck's definitely older than that. That's the first time I saw her. She was Hannah McKay. Trust me, I know that, dude. I loved her character. And then I found out she was in Chuck, and I watched Chuck because of it. But the reason I'm gonna watch it is because it was put on Amazon Prime recently.
It's been on Prime for a couple years now.
Couple years, see? Recently. 4 years ago. I thought it said recently. I actually saw it online that it was on, and I was like, oh, it must have just been put on. But then again, I don't check Amazon Prime. I should. But anyway, I think that's the next one I'm going to do. I remember watching that show and loving it. And the ending is great.
Oh, yeah.
The ending is spectacular.
Phenomenal.
Spectacular.
Makes you cry every time.
Yeah, it's really sad, but it's really just well done. You've seen Dexter, right? Because we were just saying it.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you've never seen Dexter?
No, it's one of those, one of those ones I wanted to binge and just couldn't get into the hour-long episode binges.
I wanted to tell you, I read an interview with one of the original writers. So it switched writers in, like, I think it was season 4, which season 4, the ending of season 4 is twisted. It's so good. But then it switched writers and it went downhill, and you probably heard the last season and the last episode are pretty much certified garbage.
Yeah.
But the original end, do you know what happens at the end? Like, have you been told what happens at the end?
No, not at all.
All right, I'm not going to tell it to you then. But there was the original ending. I kind of want to say the original ending anyway, because it's not like it happens anyway, right? So
that's true.
What's it matter?
You could say it.
Okay. I was going to say, wait, it doesn't happen. I'm not spoiling anything for you.
If anyone is worried that this might be close to a spoiler, fast forward.
But it's not. It's not a
I
spoiler.
know, but like,
it doesn't happen.
Yeah, we got to give that disclaimer.
Okay. Well, if you think this is a spoiler, you're out of your mind, because it doesn't happen. I'm not I'm spoiling the interview. Like, if you were going to go read that interview later, then yes, skip ahead. So at the end of Dexter, the original writing staff had it that during the season, he was getting closer to being found out, which happens just about every season.
Yeah.
So, but towards the end, the last couple episodes, he does get found out to be what was called the Bay Harbor Butcher. That's what the original, like, so they do find out about him in, like, season 1, but they don't know it's him. They just know someone's murdering people. So they find out that he was the Bay Harbor Butcher, and he's like going on the run. Like, he gets his stuff, he's going on the run, and like as it's showing, like, towards the very end, like before it all ends, it's showing like he's getting closer to getting away with it, but the cops are like closing in on him, and like you don't know what's gonna end. Like he looks like he's about to be caught, and then it kind of just goes black, right?
Yeah.
So have you ever seen the intro to it? If not, I can explain it. So in the very beginning, like, the intro theme song to the show is him getting ready for his day. So, like, it shows him, he wakes up, and then he, like, puts on a shirt, and he's, like, cooking stuff. But they put it in a perspective where it looks like he's, like, chopping a brain, but he's really chopping, like, a mango or something. Like, I can't remember. I think it's pomegranate, because pomegranate looks really ugly on the inside. So, like, he's doing stuff like that, but it looks like he's, like, cutting people up and stuff. So that's how the intro is. So it goes to black, and then you see him and his eyes open, and the theme starts playing, and he's like doing a self monologue in his head, and it's like kind of like zooming out while he's doing it, and he's thinking about all the people he's killed and how he got away with it, and like how he has to leave his life behind and stuff. And as it's moving out, you start seeing like images of like the people he's killed as it's moving out, and then eventually it goes all the way out. and he's the electric chair. They caught him.
Ah.
Yeah, it's legit. It was a legit ending. Like, if it ended like that, it would have been put up there. Like, I think Dexter is taken off the list of, like, best shows
because of how it ended.
Yeah. Because if it ended like that, oof. Just saying that ending gives me goosebumps, because it's like, damn, that would have been such a good ending. Because it looks like it's going to start like any other episode. And then nope. He was caught.
I mean, I didn't mind it, but it's kind of like the same thing with Lost. Like, the ending took a lot of people out of it, and like, you know, now in conversations, people are like, "Oh, Lost." It's like, yeah, no, but it was also like an amazing TV show for a long time, and then the writers' strike kind of threw them into an interesting position, and then they scrambled and couldn't bring it back together.
I never seen Lost. That's one that I've never seen.
One of my favorite. Anything from Damon Lindelof is great for me. That I've suggested it before for people. Leftovers on HBO is one of my favorite shows of all time. Top 3 for me. And then his Watchmen HBO show was very good too. Just a nice, easy 10-episode miniseries.
Yeah,
8 episode.
It's tough for me to get into shows. It really is. Like, I need to be drawn in. I really have such a short attention span. Like, it's so needle thin that if I'm not brought in immediately, I probably don't stick around.
Yeah, I don't think, especially because, with you like to kind of have a lot of stuff going on in the background.
Yeah, I do.
Like, shows like Watchmen and Leftovers are not the ones for you. If you want to like sit there and actually watch a show, not like that. It's like, that sounded a little aggressive. If you want to sit there and actually watch a show, if you want like a show that you're gonna like, you want to be sucked into, those are the ones like where you want to just sit there and not really look at your phone, not do other stuff in the background.
Yeah, I'll try to check them out. I mean, I try to check out shows. I always try to do it, but if I'm not drawn in immediately, that's why it's tough for me to read books. I do try to read books all the time, but if I'm not drawn in from the first couple pages, I will put that thing down. Yeah, I need to be drawn in immediately. So it's tough. That's why I watch shows that are 11 minutes, because you only have 11 minutes. You're drawn in immediately, or you're not going to watch. It's one of the two.
Exactly.
But I don't remember what we started with. I think we were talking about Arrested Development. No, we were talking about Community.
We were talking about Community and Arrested Development and stuff like that.
So they did the table read recently. I didn't see the table read. I've seen all the other stuff they've done. They've been doing a lot of podcasts together on Mikhail and I just said his name, Ken Jeong's podcast, but you said they did the table. I knew they were doing a table read. I just didn't watch it. I didn't realize it was happening. But my opinion, and I know it's tough to do this right now in this day and age, my opinion is if they want to actually do a Community movie, they have to do it now. Like, this is the time. It's at the highest it's been.
Yeah, because there's no guarantee that Donald Glover sticks around and wants to do any more stuff anymore.
Well, first of all, it just shows how you can't trust the tabloids, because I remember when he left Community, there was all these reports about how they didn't like him and how he was this and that and all this nasty stuff, and he said no. Like, he just got busy and left.
Yeah, no, he just became an actual like certifiable superstar.
Yeah, he did. His I think that happened when he was Grammy nominated, which was like right after he left Community. Yeah. I believe. With I think that was right after he left Community. Had 3005 on it, and what are some? I can't believe I can't think of the names of these songs. I remember that album coming out, and I listened to it all the time. Mm-hmm. All the time. Well, I listen to a lot of his music all the time.
He brought Chance on that record.
All she needed was some. All she needed was some. All she needed was some. Yeah.
That's a good album. I had it in my car in college.
Oh, you had the.
I had the CD.
So
got it at Amoeba Music.
I got the CD as well, but I also because of the internet. I can't believe I couldn't think of that because of the internet. I got, when I worked at the radio station, it was sent to us.
Oh, nice.
As a that's what happens at radio stations. Well, it probably doesn't happen anymore, but they would send you CDs so you could play. Like, they'd send like their singles or stuff like that, so you could play them. And he sent, because of the internet, to our radio station. and so I had 2 copies. I gave one to Kyle.
Nice.
So Kyle has one of those copies. I've given a lot of CDs to Kyle. I actually gave Kyle a signed Big Boi CD. You were there for that. Yeah, you were there for that. Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
almost interview.
The lost almost interview.
Yeah. Although the concert was great.
Oh, the concert was popping.
Yeah, that was awesome. Just listening to all those Outkast songs. It was so good.
Without Andre.
Even without Andre, it's funny. Andre 3000's amazing. Like, he really is. But I don't think Big Boi gets the respect he deserves. I think he's almost at the same level as Andre. And I don't care if that's a hot take.
Andre was just the more, like, jump out of the, like, his personality was more like, I'm coming towards you.
He was more known because, while Big Boi was wearing fancy suits to the Grammys, Andre 3000 was like wearing catcher's equipment. Like, it was. That's why he was more known.
People know the people who do weird stuff, not the people who just wear like a nice like Versace suit to the Grammys.
But if you're talking about straight rapping, like, man, they are closer than people give them credit for. Like, people put Andre 3000 in like the top 5 to 10 rappers of all time, where Big Boi's nowhere near the list. I'm telling you, they're. Remember the songs that were playing? Like, the most notable verses on a lot of those songs were Big Boi verses. But because he was, like, that character, and because, like, all that. I mean, another reason Andre, and we were going to talk about this. We actually never did. Another reason Andre was so revered is because he has such a short sample size.
Yeah, no, he came in quick, put in a bunch of good stuff, and left. Well, and that was it.
He's never gone solo, ever. He's only gone with Outkast. Like, he's never done a solo album or any. The closest he's ever done to a solo album is when they did that 2 album. When they did the Speaker Box and the Love Below. That was the closest he's ever come to doing a solo album. He's never done an Andre 3000 album, ever. But that's why he's so revered, because, like, he was in this group that was huge, and he did some of the most memorable rap songs ever. Plus, he did Hey Ya, which is one of the top rap songs always listed in the 2000s. Like, right up there with Lose Yourself. And then he never did anything solo, and he did a spot here and a spot there on people's albums and stuff like that. But he never... And I sent an article. We were going to talk about this. We never got to. And I was going to save it for when Kyle came, but you know what? Screw it. We'll do it now. He said that he doesn't want to do a solo album because he doesn't want it to not be up to the expectations and have all the criticism back at him.
That makes sense. Like, I get that. I mean, it could be something within himself that's just kind of like, when he's with Outkast, it's almost like a protective shell from not like from criticism, but it's a little bit easier when you've got that big group and like people are a little bit more willing to be like, yeah, we listen to it, we give it a shot. But if he goes solo, it's kind of like, and people don't like it, it could, people can go after him, and he's like, why the hell would I ever come back again?
I think it's that, and like I said, he's never done a solo. So, like, think of it. If he releases... It's like when Dr. Dre released Compton, which was like 20 years in the making, which it wasn't even... It was supposed to be... not The Chronic 2, right? Maybe... No, it definitely wasn't that. It was something else. No. I can't remember what the name of... It was supposed to be something else, but it became Compton, and it was just not up to what people thought. Because he didn't come out with an album like 20 years. I think it was 15 years. And then he came out Compton, and people were like, oh, no, this isn't it. And it was so... Dude, Dr. Dre wasn't even on his own album for most of it. He had 50 features.
He went back to like mostly just producing at that point.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like even on his album, Compton, he would say like a couple lines, and then he'd have like 8 features. Like, that's where you saw Anderson .Paak, and Eminem was on there, and Kendrick Lamar.
He had a lot of good features for sure on that album.
Like, he is a talent scout for sure. I mean, he found...
Oh, yeah, well, that's the thing, too.
3
when he
top
left,
guys.
Like, when he wasn't making those albums anymore, he became a full-on business mogul. and he like
Yeah, well,
expanded and made an empire.
That's like
Obviously,
Diddy.
I'm literally wearing his headphones right now.
Yeah, well, not his headphones. Those are now
Oh, sorry, he
Apple's
sold-
headphones.
That's true. He sold Beats.
They're Apple Beats now, which sounds ridiculous. I mean, Dre Beats doesn't sound much better, but yeah, he had. I mean, that's what Diddy did as well.
Yeah.
Although Diddy, I know there are a lot of Diddy songs, and I do like some Diddy songs, but man, he is. Could you name one off the top of your head? I could.
I was literally looking at the camera like, oh boy, he's gonna ask me to name a Diddy song, and I'm gonna blank.
Well, that's the point, though. You really can't name one. I mean, like I said, I'd probably name a couple because I like Diddy. Like I know "Hello, Good Morning" off of his Last Train to Paris or something like that. That's where Skylar Grey was first heard on "I'm Coming Home."
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, like stuff like that. But well, he also did the I'm Missing You, the big Every Step they did the not the original song, but he took a sample of it and made the Biggie song.
Missing You.
Yeah. So like I can name some. But like, man, for how known he is and how much money that man has, for him to be like started as a rapper, it's nuts. Like I don't know if this is a great take or not, but screw it. Would he be anywhere close to what he is if he didn't sign Biggie?
No.
He probably wouldn't.
Nope.
Because he wasn't.
Well, he was in the car with Biggie, right?
As far as I know. I mean, I don't know much. I just know what I've seen in like movies. Because I was 3 or 4 at the time.
I mean, don't remember any of that personally.
I was 4 and not in the car, so I don't know too much. But I do know that what I've seen, yes, he was in the car. Actually, no, I think he was in another car. I think he was in the car behind.
Maybe that was it, yeah.
I believe he was in the car behind. But I could be mixing it up with Tupac.
That's true.
So I don't, because I believe Tupac had Suge in the car. Suge Knight.
Yes, Suge Knight was
driving the car.
Tupac. Yeah.
And then I believe Puffy was in the car behind Biggie when he was shot. Know who was? What's the dude's name from the Green Mile? I always forget his name. Love the dude.
Michael Clark Duncan?
He was Biggie's security guard.
I forgot that he was a security guard for a lot of like rappers before he became famous.
He was Biggie's security guard, and then he was amazing in the Green Mile. That's a great movie. Great movie. It's I think he passed away like maybe it's got to be like 10 years ago now. It was sad. He was also he was in
Biggie was literally his first like signing.
Diddy, right? Yeah. Diddy was nothing.
Diddy literally like formed his own thing, Bad Boy Entertainment, real quick. Mm-hmm. And then the first person he was like, all right, let's grab that guy.
Well, they had 2 really, really big names. Like, one was Biggie, and one was the guy that did Flavor in Your Ear. Not Craig Mack. Maybe it is Craig Mack. But those were like the 2 in... those were the 2 that were signed to Bad Boy. It was Craig Mack. Those were the 2 signed to Bad Boy that were big. And then Craig Mack, I don't know what happened with him. I know he had he had problems with 2 people, Diddy, believe it or not. And one he had deported, and the other one he had like arrested.
Jesus.
And Craig Mack might have been one of them. I don't remember. But was Biggie before Craig Mack?
Like signing wise?
Yeah, if he was, it was like Craig Mack was like right after.
They were probably like right back to back.
Because I believe Craig Mack was like early 1990s. Because that song came out in like 94 or 5. So I'm assuming he was signed to him, before it came out.
Yeah.
But anyway, That was a long road from Community.
Yeah, sorry
That
guys,
was a
sorry
long
everybody.
road.
We just we went on a little rant ski there.
That's fine. They learned something new, hopefully. In some way, shape, or form, I hope you learned something new. But anyway, I think that's a good spot to wrap it up because
I believe so as well.
we were nowhere near anything. But thank you for joining us. You can catch everything at sketchingup.com. We have old podcasts. We have this one. If you didn't listen to it somewhere else, you can listen to it there. We have our videos there, like our We Tried Our Best, and some other videos that we're cooking up, so you can find them all there. So sketchingup.com is the best place to find it. You can also follow us on social media. Instagram is Sketching Up Podcast. Twitter is Sketching_podcast _up. I'm all the way in left field now. And then Facebook.com/sketchingup is where you can find us on social media. They're all run by the three of us. We're not going to tell you who, though. So you got to figure it out yourself. Let's see if you can guess it. First person to guess it gets a prize. The prize is a pat on the back and a good job from Connor, not me. You get it from Connor.
It'll be the best pat on the back you've ever had.
So if you can figure it out, you get the best pat on the back virtually because we respect social distancing. Everybody stay safe out there. Connor, what you got for us?
Yeah, last thing for me, just, stay safe, everybody. Keep going. We'll all get through this. Keep listening to the podcast.
Please.
And, please. Just find a new show to watch. Find something new. Find something that you might not think you'll like and give it a shot. Just for me.
Exactly.
Just a little bit for me.
You have time. Most people have time. I will say we do have an announcement. This is the last thing I wanted to say. We do have an announcement that from this moment on, we will be only doing bi-weekly full podcasts. So next weekend, don't expect a full podcast because that is not what bi-weekly means. We'll have this one. Next week, we'll have a new video for you.
We'll still have doodles coming too.
Week after we'll have a video, and yes, we will have doodles coming. That schedule will not change. Those will still be coming out pretty randomly, but we'll have one or two a week. Those will be coming out. Full podcasts though will now be bi-weekly. So if you miss it, you still have a lot of stuff to catch up on because this is episode 18. So there's a lot of stuff to catch up on in between, but do not expect one next week. We will have a video coming out for you next week. Of a We Tried Our Best. It'll be a drawing one. I will say so we got this week. So in 3 weeks, we have a We Tried Our Best coming out with Kyle that you will not want to miss. I've already seen it. It's excellent. You will not want to miss it. So definitely make sure you're following us on social media and stuff because you will not want to miss this one. But, so we'll be bi-weekly from now on. So this full podcast me, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Doodle Me, we'll see you next week with the Marvel Battle Royale final, which there will be a lot of strong opinions on that one, so get your ears ready for very loud arguing. Connor, thank you for joining us. Fans, thank you for joining us. Listeners, thank you for joining us. This has been Sketching Up. SketchingUp.com. Catch everything. See you guys later.